The Forbidden Five were once elemental masters, thousands of years ago. They discovered evil powers no other elemental master could stop. They conquered their realm and destroyed all who stood in their way.
All of Dragon's Rising Season 2 was spent trying to free the Forbidden Five, a group of elemental masters who were banished to Nether Space to stop their reign of terror. Lord Raz is able to free one of the members, Noct, during the Blood Moon ritual, and Noct, with the help of Rox, another member of the Five whose soul escaped Nether Space and went to the nearest body, were able to open up a corrupted back door by using dragon ivory, which they got from killing Arc Dragons and stealing their crowns, in combination with all the elemental powers which they got from winning the Tournament of the Sources. And then all five of them escaped to who knows where. And that's where we're at, with Season 2 setting the Forbidden Five up to be the main villains for Season 3. In preparation for that, I want to recap everything we know about the Forbidden Five. All the information in this video comes from the show itself, books, writers, and set designers. I do also want to give a minor spoiler warning. We haven't learned anything too major about Season 3 yet, but still there's one thing specifically that could be seen as a minor spoiler, so I just wanted to give that warning. With that though, let's begin. Starting with the basic information, the members of the Forbidden Five are Noct, Rox, Drix, Zarkt, and Xur. They were a feared group of people who destroyed everything they came across using their army of wolf mask warriors and a corrupted fighting technique they created called Shadowspin. They were only able to be defeated by forever imprisoning them in Nether Space. Despite Rox being the Forbidden Five member we've seen the most of so far behind Noct, we know more about Drix and Zark than we do her. And also Noct, but that was kind of a given seeing as he's already been in a fourth of the show. Some people speculated that the Forbidden Five would have the same powers as the ninja: fire, earth, ice, energy, and then either water or lightning. And while that's a neat idea, that's not what we got. Noct's elemental power is brute force, Drix's elemental power is swarm, and Zark's elemental power is misfortune. One of my biggest complaints with the Source Tournament arc was that despite it being a tournament of elemental powers, we never saw Noct use his elemental power. He only ever used Shadowspin.
Versus the mysterious man of few words and fewer fears, Noct! And in this corner, Noct, coached by his commander, Lord Raz of the Wildness.
But now that we know Drix's and Zark's elemental powers as well, I have a theory. The Forbidden Five don't have traditional elemental powers. They don't shoot anything out of their hands like Kai or Tox, they can't manipulate things from a distance like Cole, Nier, or Sora, and they don't affect how they appear like Mr. Pale or Camille. Their elemental powers aren't a physical thing. Like maybe Noct was using his elemental power during the tournament to make himself stronger, since brute force basically means strength. And same as Zark, misfortune means bad luck, so maybe his power is to make his opponents mess up and trip over themselves while fighting. And then there's Drix's power, swarm, which is the word that's used to describe a large group of insects. I wasn't really sure what that could mean, but then I had an idea. Drix is a wasp, which is something I'll get into more later, but for right now just know that Drix is a wasp/bee. So what if his power is to split himself into thousands of tiny versions of himself to swarm his enemies? That would kind of break my theory that the Forbidden Five don't have physical powers, but it's the only thing I could think of. Next, I want to get into how the Forbidden Five are corrupted animals. This does make sense since the Forbidden Five are from the Wildness, which is known to be inhabited by anthropomorphic animals. Them being corrupted will also explain why they don't look like everyone else we've seen in the Wildness. And we know that's not just because Ninjago's art style is different from Chima's, since Raz is also from the Wildness and looks like a modernized version of the Chima characters. I've already mentioned that Drix is a bee/wasp/hornet, which, let me just say, I absolutely hate wasps. They are terrifying and painful and out for blood, and are like the complete opposite of bees, which I'm also scared of, just not to the same extent since I know they'll only sting me if I take them off.
Let me see that.
Ow!
So yeah, anyways, the only other member we know the species of is Noct, who is a wolf. Yeah, he's a wolf. Which, I can totally see. He has fangs, and I can see the markings on his face being fur. I tried figuring out what animal rocks could be, but I unfortunately couldn't think of anything. Zoct, on the other hand, though, I believe could very well be a snake. For one, I think it's a given that one of the Forbidden Five members is going to be a snake, since snakes are pretty much always in media used to represent evil or mischievous behavior. And Ninjago has a history of snakes being used as villains. Also, whenever I think of snakes, I a lot of the time think of the color green. And finally, Zoct is the only member to be wearing a robe that covers his legs. So what if he doesn't have legs, but instead a snake tail that he keeps hidden? What if he only got corrupted from the torso up? I was originally thinking that he could also be hiding a snake head underneath his hat, but I don't think that's the case since he has just a normal minifigure head that I could see being a snake. As for Zoro, we know absolutely nothing about him, so I don't really have any ideas. And finally, I want to mention Thunderfang. Thunderfang was a dragon who wanted to become a Source Dragon but was denied, presumably because he's evil. He was eventually locked up, and now the Forbidden Five want to find the 5 prismatic blades to free him. Which, by the way, the prismatic swords are really cool pieces. That's pretty much all we know about Thunderfang at the moment. But I just want to say that I love the idea of him being a rejected Source Dragon. That's just such a cool idea. One last real quick thing. Apparently Jay might become a 6th member of the Forbidden Five. I'm not at all sure if this is true, but I'm not against it. I'm really excited for the Forbidden Five, and it's kind of hard to believe that they're only one of many aspects of the season that I can't wait for. There's also all the stuff with Zane and Pixel, Kai, Nia and Jay, Aaron and Roz, and then also Mora's return. There's so much happening in Season 3, and the Forbidden Five are most likely going to be one of the most prominent aspects, are still going to be surrounded by so much. I really cannot wait for Season 3. But with that, if you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate it if you took 2 seconds to like and subscribe. Bye!